281 Freedom Express Ultralite here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan, coming in at 6,300 pounds as shown. However, this is being displayed today in Liberty Edition, which is an upgraded trim package. I'll try to point out Liberty versus standard features as we go through. Long story short, that does nudge the weight up a little bit, so a standard Freedom Express Ultralite is going to be a little bit closer to 6,000 versus 6,300 pounds. I don't think it's enough to break the bank. This is definitely one of the floor plans, though. It's got the two rear recliners and, you know, the big side super slide, nice kitchen, walk-through bathroom. This floor plan is just not the same when it's not a Liberty Edition, and we'll talk again more about that as we go. We've got AZDEL on the sidewalls, which extends longevity, and also allows them to keep the weight in check, which is important because this is a taller travel trailer with a longer bed, so it's a bigger trailer, but it still easily qualifies for half-ton towable lightweight, and the wide stance axles also help to improve that towing aspect. When the slide-out's closed on the 281, one of the coolest things about it is that whether you're just getting the camper packed up or you're traveling and you need to make a quick stop, it is very easy to fully access this model. You see that we've got now you're going to do a sideways travel trailer two-step to get through here, but you can get through here. You can get to the fridge, you can get to all the kitchen, the pantry, and something interesting kind of takes place. Different trends take place through the industry, and these walk-through middle bathrooms, by and large, not as popular as they used to be in the RV business, but they have a significant benefit. Not only do they offer a nice big shower and great in-bathroom storage, but like you just saw, they are travel friendly so that you can still get through here, you can still stop, you can still access everything in the bathroom, and even get up here in the bedroom. Although that being said, to make this even more travel friendly, functional, and accessible, if you notice, we have a second entry door built right into this that Coachmen's not required to put in here for like safety or fire code. They do it for usage and convenience purposes, and end user usage and convenience features like that it's a recurring trend you're going to hear me talk about over and over and over again as we go through this one. And compared to previous generations, this newer, lighter, brighter, I call it the Malibu Beach House decor. God bless it, it looks good in here. Now, it's a bright day outside, and this thing is loaded with windows, so it's actually kind of messing with my camera, and it makes everything want to appear a little bit darker. But even still, I think you get the idea. Now, keep in mind, the one in stock might be a little bit different, like it might have a darker fabric decor or something, but we find in these couples models here at Haylett's, people really like the light, open, airy look and feel to this thing, and I think that what's this called, Sienna? I can't remember the decor names every time, has that kind of thing going on with it here. So, back here, when you go to, this is what I mean by the fact that a standard Freedom Express Ultralite 281, it just doesn't seem complete when sitting next to a Liberty Edition. So we can upgrade to these full-on Liberty recliners instead of just rocking barrel chairs. And I think that if you're going to go with a rear living room with the rear chairs, I think what we're looking for is recliners. Over here you see that we've got the full-on trifold hide-to-bed sleeper sofa, and we'll come back and talk about sleeping in a minute. But it's the nicer seating arrangements that I think really start to set the tone of Liberty Edition in here. Now, before I get too far along, one of the first things I want to talk about is something that I mentioned very briefly outside, and that's the interior height here. This is a tall ultralight, and those are two qualities that don't normally meet in the same sentence. There's almost no other examples of that in the RV industry. Most trailers in the lightweight world, what they're going to do is they'll have a normal 6.5 foot tall sidewall with a 5.5 inch vaulted ceiling, the bubble ceiling, and that's neat. There's nothing wrong with that. Freedom Express did it a different way. What they did is they went 3 inches taller on the walls, 6'9". Now, it's the wall height that really affects the trailer, not just visibly, but in terms of function. And these guys are all about function first. But they managed to, I think, accomplish function and fashion pretty well. So taller ceiling means a taller slide out. It means bigger, taller cabinets. It means a taller shower. It just feels more open in here. In the case of a bunk model, it also means more room per bunk, which is pretty darn nice. So that extra height really makes a difference, and it's the AZDEL stuff we'll talk about outside that helps keep the weight from getting out of control on a bigger lightweight like this. As we work our way around here, I want to, it's going to throw people off, and we're going to see why in just a second they do this. They put like a stand right there, and people go, why is there a stand there instead of in between the chairs? There's a lot of reasons for it, but just so that you know, you do have a nice little stand over here if you want to just set down a drink or your phone or something like that. So it's not like they just forgot you on this side. So when we get outside the camper, you're going to see that you have a rear corner centralized hookup station that most rear living rooms don't have. And Freedom Express is one of the best brands I've ever seen at accommodating not just the dealership with fun things to talk about, but really, really being laser focused on the final owner and user of this product, because that rear corner is where the park hookup's going to be. So having all of your hookups here makes sense, but they had to build an enclosure for that. However, as a passive benefit, you're going to see how this benefits our sleeping arrangement here in the living room for guest sleeping. Liberty Edition, we upgrade from pleated shades to the, if I can get my hands on it, there it is, the blackout roller shades right here. And those things, if you just really want to blot out the sun, if you got a migraine, you need to take a nap or something like that, you're going to be good to go here. Now, you've got a bunch of neat little accent lighting in this, and I guess the right, I never remember what switch it is offhand. You can see it's below the dinette, as well as in those overhead cabinets right there. And those are cabinets. That's not just like a false illusion where they put lights in it instead. They didn't waste any storage in this. We'll talk about storage in a minute, too. But the point is, at night, it's a neat little nightlight accent light when you do have somebody sitting on your guest sleeping sofa and dinette arrangement that we have here. So this is a couple's coach, but it can sleep 4, 5, 6, or 7, depending on how you boil down the sleeping areas. One of the nicest things about this floor plan specifically is it's built with a bigger slide out. It's a wider slide, which allows for a full U-dinette, not the little pretend U-dinette, which is just a 2-bench dinette with a bench thrown in the back. This is a full U-dinette with longer, like almost like 7-foot sleeping area. So an adult can definitely fit there, maybe 2 adults if they're familiar with one another, and certainly a couple kids. Then we go to the trifold sleeper sofa over here, which that can sleep an additional person or 2. But this is one of the reasons that they don't put a centralized stand over here, because it allows you to slide these chairs over, and you can see that both chairs can open, and one can even fully recline for maximum sleeping space in this little couple's camper. So if what you're looking for is a nice couple's experience, but occasionally you may have a couple grandkids, or you might have the grandkids and their parents with you, this one is built to accommodate couples and families alike. Back to the living arrangement, one thing I want to point out on this is that we do have a free floating dining table. It easily ellipses up and down for anywhere use, anytime use. If you want to fold it down and use it like a coffee table in front of the sofa or the recliners, or just like a movie night dining table for couples dining instead of like TV trays or whatever, you can do that too. It can only do everything, basically. Now, in addition to that, you'll see that under that dinette, in Liberty Edition, we gain full extension drawers right here. And on the back side of the dinette, there are sliding panels to get to the rear bench storage without having to like tear everything apart. And having a mobile table and those rear sliding panels, it just makes so much sense. And it's, again, they look at this not as like, how can we sell it? But like, how can this be used? Like, if we go camping, how can we use it and enjoy it more? And that's what I love about Freedom Express, is that I can actually see myself using this, being like, yes, that makes sense, thank you. Here's another thing that kind of boggles my mind. It's a really common problem in the RV industry right now, where when you fold this down into a sleeper, that these cushions don't make a nice, easy arrangement for the base bedding cushioning. We don't have that problem in Freedom Express. Their cushions fit, and it boggles my mind how many do not. When we go to Liberty Edition, we upgrade to an electric space heating fireplace. It's remote controlled, and you can use it just for LED visuals without the heating element, but it's an electric space heater that doesn't require propane for nice little living room heating. You have a great little phone charge station up here in this little pocket. You see both household and USB plugs next to your Bluetooth DVD player over here. Now your TV, if you want to, you can really swing this out for like even easy dinette viewing. I just didn't want it to like, block too much of the way into the bathroom here, so I kind of have it pulled out of the way a little bit to give you an idea. Let's talk air conditioning. First of all, this is an optional piece of equipment, and it's something you can't see, but we usually like to upgrade all of our Freedom Expresses here at AZDEL to a 15,000 BTU air instead of the 13.5. That extra cooling power makes a lot of difference, even here in the Midwest, but my lord, especially down south for our Texas, Arizona, Florida customers, of which we have a lot. We do a lot of long distance guys. What I don't want to hear when you watch this is, well, I'd have bought it from you if you were closer. Did you at least call? How do you know that we couldn't make it attractive enough for you because we do it every day. Now, in addition to usually putting on the bigger air conditioner, I also like to point out that very similar to our Jaycos, they have vented and louver AC ducts. So these can turn and they can close. So you can push the cold air exactly where you want it, when you want it, and not have it, in your face. Now, at a glance, the kitchen is quite unassuming because the focus of this floor plan is on the spacious rear living room. But they really nailed this kitchen more so than you would think. But before I move on here, one thing I do want to point out is you see we have cabinet ducted heating. They do not use floor vented heating in Freedom Expresses so that you don't collect dirt and debris and Skittles and paper clips and everything else down in your floor vents. Now you might notice currently at the time of this filming, there's a little bit of shipping dust still on this thing because this came straight from the factory and I'm the first person to walk through it other than our check-in clerk because we quality control everything before we accept it here at Haylitz. When I say we don't do hidden dealer fees, one of those things that applies to that is we will clean the RV inside and out before you take it home at no additional charge. So, and then just little detail stuff like this. Almost all campers used to have things like this, where your mini blinds, because you do have to have metal mini blinds in the kitchen for fire code, you'd have a little anchor here where you could tie those up. But a lot of brands have kind of phased those out to try to save every little penny and nickel and dime they can. But not Freedom's. They just do all the little touches. Now, rear living rooms, as the name kind of implies, are usually focused on open living space, and they don't traditionally have good kitchens. And maybe that's one of the reasons the 281 Freedom Express here at Haylett RV has done so well, because they've actually got a pretty darn respectable kitchen, but it's easy to overlook and it's easy to miss. So if we look down here, below the sink, they have what I call the utensil drawer, and it wraps around the sink, and it's the perfect place for all your forks, spoons, knives, and everything. But like everything else, it seems like in this camper, it's very mobile and multifunctional. If you want to pop this out and take it outside for picnic time, you can. Now, you can see that we've got good drawer space here, and you can see that they're all plywood box constructed, and they're all beveled edges and sanded off, so you're not going to get splinters all over the place. Now, in Liberty Edition, we do upgrade to solid surface countertops like you see right here. Normally, you would at least have the thermal foil sealed edge countertops, however. So that's the difference between Liberty and Ultra, as it were. But they both share the same thing, and that they're extra large, extra deep countertops. And the way that you can determine that very easily is all of these stovetops are basically the same size, because they all come from the same supplier. No matter what brand of RV you're buying, they all have about the same size stove. And they do that so if one supplier falls short, they can just hot swap them and keep on building. They can't re-engineer the cabinetry on the fly. Well, normally you've got 1 or 2 inches behind that. Here, you've got like an entire foot. And that means that there's lots of extra space back here to put appliances and things out of the way that, especially in conjunction with the flush mount solid surface countertop, the sink cover, and the stovetop over here, you've got some excellent prep space in this thing in a type of floor plan not traditionally known for that. Now, one of the questions people ask all the time is, where are the kitchen outlets? And they're mounted under this overhead cabinet. And the reason they have to do that is because those outlets, to maintain fire code, they're deeper than the sidewall is thick. So you can't mount them in the sidewall of a laminated trailer, an ultralight laminated trailer like this. Not to mention the fact that, God forbid you ever needed some kind of wiring work, trying to fish wires through a laminated wall, it's like brain surgery. Now, I like these upgraded sinks that they have going on here. This is very residential. You can go to Home Depot, find this exact same pull-out sprayer type faucet at your house. You can see that this is a thick, heavy-duty sink cover, and you've got a full-on farm sink, that giant basin sink right here, and that is stone cast. It's not stainless, it's not plastic. It is rated for up to 500 degrees, so water evaporates before you can, damage that thing effectively. So that means you could even put a directly heated hot pot and pan in there. Pretty kind of cool, and it won't, rust because it's not metal. Now, over here in Liberty Edition, we have an 8 cubic foot fridge freezer. So we're getting a 33% bigger fridge here with a big pantry next to it. And this is an area that a lot of kitchens and rear living rooms fall short, is no pantry. Add that up in conjunction with the cabinet space down there, with the full extension drawers and, you know, rear storage under the dinette area here, the storage above the sofa and above the rear seating. And we've got a spacious rear living couples camper that actually has an impressive amount of storage space. And I think that's why the 281 Freedom Express has continued to succeed, where a lot of other brands who build this floor plan have kind of died out. So we already kind of had a walkthrough preview of the bathroom and bedroom earlier, but let's look at it in a little more depth here. So what I kind of began my interior tour with here is the extra interior height. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where it makes a big difference. Now, it's a warm, hot day, and I'm a sweaty mess, so I apologize. Not looking like a super handsome fellow today, or most days. But hey, that's my curse, right? Anyway, lots of extra headroom height in here. I don't have to have my head in the bubble, even if I'm all the way over the side. Now, this is another area where a 6'9" sidewall, I feel, is superior to a vaulted ceiling, because it's tall, even against the sidewall of the trailer, not just over here. I don't have to stand in the middle of this thing. I can stand anywhere I want in this shower. And being a radius shower, I've got plenty of elbow room in this thing where I can, you know, easily soap up my hair, or what little hair I have left, but I digress. The you know, corner sink and everything over here, they tried not to get ridiculously out of control with the size of this bathroom. So we do have a bit of a limited counter space situation in here, but I think that's just kind of the nature of the beast. If you know, you want that full travel accessibility. Now, as we spin around here, one thing that this style of bathroom offers is awesome storage. I like that we have dedicated linen storage and an additional hanging closet here. There are a lot of RVs, like, take, for example, a 2604 WS Rockwood that we offer here at Haylett RV. It's a rear living room, but it has a closet slide in the bedroom. And you're thinking, oh, neat, I need that extra closet slide. Well, they gave us an extra closet here without the weight and cost of a slide out. And it's intelligent design features like that that really make this 281 Freedom Express sing to me. They've just really, really nailed it. Also, if you're, you know, needing to like get ready, or you want like a full-length mirror, both of these cabinet doors are mirrored, but I'll spare you from looking at me again because you already got to look at my disgusting, sweaty face. Now, you want leg room? You want to do bathroom yoga? We can do anything you want in here. Plenty of room. Sliding privacy door here for the master bed. And again, this is a longer 80-inch residential queen bed, and you can walk around it, no sweat there. But here's what's kind of cool. So you see those little LED lamps, those white lights right above the bed? Well, those and that recessed headboard up there actually have blue elements in them as well. So if you want to make this thing all set up for like night lighting, reading a book at night or anything, you're good to go. And when you go into Liberty Edition, one thing they do here is the Freedom Express Ultralite won't have this, but the Liberty will, is this recessed headboard. So it has that extra reading lamp, but it also has USB plugs up there. So this is your evening space for your phone. But what about CPAP users? Well, they didn't forget about you either, because you've got side stands with outlets over here. Now we've got very deep, very large, very functional, full-length hanging closets. Again, fully mirrored for extra light and sense of space. And we have a full overhead cabinet that's fairly deep. You know, it's not just a shelf that they just happen to throw up there. So by having that extra closet in the bathroom, we maintain a cross breeze window here in the bedroom. And additionally, they offer another vent in the ceiling up here for extra airflow. One of the cool things about this not having a laminated roof is it means you can fish wires through this. So if you choose to like upgrade this vent to like a Max Air vent fan or something, you can piggyback the power off of this light right here to supply to that. On a laminated roof, you really can't do that without running interior conduit or like drilling holes through laminated stuff, which, that scares me. And if you feel like throwing a TV in here, well, yeah, of course, they managed to do that too with some nice, easy bedroom TV corner hookups. Now, these have been a very trend-setting, popular series of lightweights for a while. They were really one of the very first who said, we're going to make a trailer full-size but lightweight. Instead of having shallow slides and short interior heights, we're going to make it taller, we're going to make it deeper, wider, better, stronger, faster. And they managed to accomplish that. There's a couple ways that allow them to do that, but before we get there, I want to take a look at, you see that big front baggage door compartment. Now it's got slam latches and magnet catches, but it's also a very wide compartment where you can see the aluminum structure of this RV. It includes its own picnic table, and you can see that full-length LED lighting that runs the length of that pass-through storage compartment right there, so you can see what you're doing on both sides. Basically, it's the exact same LED lighting that goes under that power awning right there. So, how did they manage to make this thing bigger, but not heavier? That's a good question. There's two ways to do it. One, you can be skimpy with materials, which they didn't do, or two, you can use better materials, which doesn't always mean less expensive. The layer under the sidewall fiberglass is called AZDEL, and it's a resin, basically. It's 80% melted pop bottles, effectively, but it is lighter than wood by about half, and it is also just completely water repellent. It makes the walls basically water repellent instead of absorbent. You know, longevity, lighter weight, those things all add up here. Now, Liberty Edition upgrades us to that full-on nose cap, but another thing that it does is it gives us a full power stabilization system, and the easiest way I've ever seen to control it. So what looks like just a tongue jack up here, when you start looking at it, you realize it's like a master control center for all of your jacks right here, with, like, you do not have to be a rocket scientist to operate this thing, because it's just written in very simple, easy words, and if you're not sure how to work it, there's a real simple 5-step process right here, and it also says, hey, don't use it for something it's not intended to use for, but that's just common sense. Now up here, something that's very uncommon is they have a tongue-mounted spare tire. Why did they do that? Well, it leaves the rear bumper open because Freedom Express, again, they're very conscious of the end user, and I think part of the reason is most of the product developers at Coachmen, they actually camp themselves. I think that's probably one of the best things on this RV, is that the people who, you know, build them, camp in them. So, like the smarter centralized hookups and stuff that we've talked about, it just makes more sense. And I think it's because they have actual end user experience here. Well, having the rear bumper open for a bike rack is nice, but load equalization, guys, weight in the front tows better than weight in the back. So getting up close here, here's just another quick look. The slam latches, the magnet catches, but also a sealed protected baggage door hinge so that water doesn't get in your hinges and freeze, and that can spring and screw up the hinges on here. I've actually, it's not common, but I have seen where water gets on these hinges, freezes, and expands the hinges and enough that water can kind of trickle its way through there. It doesn't take much. Outside shower, black tank flush, separate cable and satellite hookups are nice, and these do have an enclosed heated underbelly. Now, I didn't say this is a Four Seasons camper. They don't 0 to 100 degree. They don't, you know, chamber and test their Freedom Expresses. However, if you're going to like dip below freezing for the night or something like that, or you're traveling through a freezing area, that extra protection will be enough that you'll be fine. If it's going to hard freeze for an extended period, you should get any camper winterized, really. Your sidewall windows on the slides will open for ventilation, and you can see they're all tinted. And I mention that because not everything is. Not all trailers have tinted windows. The tinted windows cost a little more, but they give you more privacy, and they keep the RV cooler because you're knocking down solar radiation, basically. Now, a couple little neat things they do on here and stuff that's just so easy to miss, but that's why I put these videos together, to teach you all about what makes this brand versus another brand. Is you can, maybe it's showing up on camera, I'm not sure, but this has a, there you go, a really rough textured slide wall. It's got a nice grip to it, and it grabs that seal, and you can see that this seal is fully wiped in or out, because if the seal gets crimped, well, if it doesn't wipe all the way in or out, well, then you've got a leak. Without, like, you know, not like a seam failure, but just the seal not getting wiped all the way in or out could cause a leak. And to just help make sure this thing grabs, they actually use a T-edged slide seal right here so that it really adds extra surface area to really grab onto that thing. Now, the rear ladder we're looking at on the back here is always optional at Freedom Express, but we have begun to include that on our standard build of Freedom Expresses because of feedback from folks like yourselves saying, you know, it's got a walkable roof, which this does. You know, you say it has a walkable roof, but there's no ladder. That seems kind of dumb to me. Well, I don't disagree with you. You know, and folks have proven, they said, yeah, you know, I like the ladder. It makes sense. I want it. And we've started including them. Now, having it done at the factory level like this, it is less expensive than doing it aftermarket. Freedom Expresses have, they've, even without the ladder on the back, they have the pre-prep and the wall backers back here to be able to install a ladder aftermarket if you want to. However, it's going to cost more than having it done from the factory. Side note, recommendation, don't tie stuff to the ladders. They are not there to tie your blue tote tanks and chairs and bikes and everything else for. They're there only for seasonal maintenance and upkeep. It drives me crazy how much stuff I see tied to ladders all the time now. Liberty Edition also upgrades our entry steps, and we go from a generic steel step to a nicer aluminum plank step with these anti-slip pads right here. Lighter weight, easier to see at night, not going to corrode. Now, wide stance stability axles, I mentioned that way back at the beginning of the video. Thank you for hanging on this long, by the way. This is a half-ton towable coach. There's a lot of people who still don't understand what that means because not all half-tons are created equally. But also, this is light enough that a larger tow package SUV could probably still tow it. You know, vehicle capacities vary, but maybe your vehicle is appropriate for that. However, short wheelbase vehicles get pushed around and have more sway than long wheelbase vehicles, which is exactly why they have the longer wide stance axles suspension system put on this right here, because basically it helps you overcome a shorter wheelbase of like a short box pickup or tow package SUV, like a bigger SUV obviously for something this size, and it helps this thing not bounce and not sway. Those are good factors. Quick little outside TV hookup here under the patio awning, which has all LED lighting across the entire length, by the way. And this is another thing I like that they do. This is in an area, this recesses and slides into the sidewall of the trailer, but it's under a chunk of space in the kitchen that really you can't use from the inside. So instead of waste it, they said, why don't we find something to do with it? And another thing I've found is that those black RVQ grills that come with a lot of campers, most people find out once they go camping with them, they don't really like them. It doesn't have enough pressure from the RV's low pressure propane system to be able to deal with even a moderate breeze like I'm experiencing today outside. Well, this is a high pressure grill, and it's a real grill, not a cooktop, and it feeds off those freestanding 1 pound propane bottles, so there's no like propane connection on the trailer that could potentially get hit by road debris or anything. And just like the picnic table in that pass-through, just like the silverware drawer and the utensil drawer, this thing is portable. You want to put it on your picnic table, you want to take it to your buddy's site, you want to do anything with it, it can only do everything. And it recesses out of the way and doesn't occupy additional storage space that you need for other things. Now that little black box right next to that big baggage door, that is a simple side mount solar prep plug. A lot of alliteration there, but basically if you got one of those little silver suitcase charger systems, this is going to be all set to help keep your batteries tended and topped off, and room for 2 batteries, by the way. Now we've done a lot of talking about this thing. You folks have been champions hanging on this long with me here, and I certainly appreciate it. The idea here is to give you a better idea and understanding of stuff that maybe you can't see, because we've been through the production lines here at Haylett RV. We've walked every production line from, Goshen, Millersburg, everywhere. All the Shipshewana type areas where these things are built. So, we've been through the factories. We've got to see them without the skin. That's stuff that a lot of you folks at home haven't had the chance to enjoy. We just like to be able to pass that knowledge along. In addition to that, we do hitching, pieces, parts, trades financing, truck and trailer package deals, RV delivery, and everything in between. But like I said inside, we don't do hidden dealer fees. We don't charge you all kinds of extra add-ons and prep fees and stuff like that. Getting the camper cleaned, having a battery on it, filling the propane tanks, showing you how it works, electric and water surge protectors, that's all part of the price tag here at Haylett's. We just can't predict state fees because I don't know where our next buyer is coming from, because we are a nationwide dealer. We do send these things out every day. And we have folks come in from a long ways away past other dealerships in here every day. So, if you'd like to give us that opportunity, like everybody else that does, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.